What's the best Sonic the Hedgehog show? Is it The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog?
Jump, computer! Stop beeping!
I think it might have the best Robotnik, and those Sonic Cess sequences are pretty funny, but nah, I don't think it's quite the best. It's a good first attempt for sure. What about Sat AM? Is that the best Sonic show?
I really hate that hedgehog. I hate him. I hate him. Hate him. Hate, 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 hate.
Maybe it could have been if it lasted longer than it did. A cliffhanger ending? Nah, that's just unfortunate. What about Sonic X?
7つのカオスエメラルドが揃うとき、この復讐計画はスタートする。プログラムはすでに不可逆だ。私から全てを奪った愚かしい人間どもよ、私と同じ絶望を味わうがいい。他に残すべきメッセージはあるか？ありません。構え！
It's probably not Sonic X. What about Sonic Boom?
Is this a towel?
What am I supposed to cover with that? Are you making fun of me?
I haven't seen much of this show if I'm being honest, but I hear it's good. Still, from what I've seen, I'm thinking probably not the best Sonic show. What about Sonic Prime?
Whoa!
Mamma mia.
Well, I don't fucking know yet. Maybe. Is it Sonic for Hire?
Hey, get the hell away from there! That's my piss jar! Die, fucker! Fucking die! Shoot the moose wizard! He's killing me with his superhuman powers! Get a taste of the Zamboni pony!
Oh, you're a friendly dog. I like you too. Give me some fucking water!
Doesn't it feel wonderful? Leaving so soon? I thought we could take another ride on the brain train.
Oh, shit!
Margaritas!
This sucks. You guys want to go get some food?
I can eat. This should buy me some great crack.
Actually, no, it's Sonic Underground, but we'll talk about Sonic for Hire today. What is Sonic for Hire? Well, it's a web series created by Mike Parker and Michael Williams, two guys you might recognize from their work on the Dorkly shorts. You can definitely hear their voices in a lot of sprite sketches and some old college humor videos around YouTube.
Hey, Rusty, who's the new meat sheep?
Hi, my name is Jimmy.
Did I say you could talk, new guy?
The series was originally released on Machinima before all that bullshit went down. Then after a 6-year gap, it was brought back as a show on Rooster Teeth, and boy, let me tell you something, they really blew that one, but we'll get to that later. I'm talking about Rooster Teeth, by the way, not the creators of the show, Rooster Teeth. They're the ones who fucked that up. Now it's returning for a season 9 on the Lowbrow Studios YouTube page, which seems to actually be owned by the creators of the series, and you know what? I'm happy for them. Fuck Machinima. Fuck Rooster Teeth. Consider checking their stuff out and supporting the world's independence from Machinima. Perhaps I'm getting a little ahead of myself. What is Sonic for Hire even about, and is it a good series for the fans of this blue rat? Nah, not really. The show is about an old has-been who starts taking on different jobs just to make it by as he watches people from his past succeed. Choosing to make the series take place in a video game setting just made Sonic a perfect candidate for main character, because at the time of the series creation, there was a lot of online discourse about Sonic not being nearly as good as he used to be and sort of unpopular, a lot of YouTubers and game journalists going on about how the series was never good to begin with and constantly bringing up 06 and Werehog stages. I can't speak for the fandom, I don't think they'll ever let this character die, but the rest of the world definitely seemed to think he was over. I think lately he's had a better reputation. I don't know if that's just because non-Sonic fans understand why people like him now, or the positive side of the community is becoming a lot more vocal. Regardless, Sonic being a has-been is a big part of the story, at least at first. The show does flanderize all of its characters as it goes on, and the characters go from being assholes to downright evil. In Season 1, Sonic cries as he's forced to kill a Kirby enemy called a Mini, as the show depicts Kirby as a bloodthirsty psychopath, not the first show to do this. But by Season 7, Sonic just kinda kills people for fun.
Hey, fellas, can I help you? This just feels right.
Each season does something different to mix it up, which I appreciate. The series probably would have gotten old if every episode was Sonic tries to get a job and fails, and each season had a transition into the next season, making the entire thing feel connected, which I've also really liked. Like Season 4 ends with Sonic and Tails getting blasted into space, and then Season 5 takes place in space. Or Season 2 ends with Sonic killing a mob boss, and then in Season 3 Sonic is running the mob. It's a lot of ridiculous bullshit, and it's fun. In terms of actual Sonic-related things in the show, well, Tails and Eggman are also main characters on the show. Occasionally they use a setting or item from the games. Amy and Knuckles make appearances, granted none of these characters act like themselves. Sonic and Tails basically hate one another and hang out because they feel they're obligated to.
I say we part ways and go back to our original roles in our original games.
Yeah, no, I
Alright,
think you're right.
I'll
All
see you
right.
guys.
See you guys.
Back off.
Guess this is it.
See ya.
Oh, right. We still have to hang out together.
Oh, yeah.
Knuckles is just a fast food manager and he acts like a douchebag and he thinks he's hot shit. Amy's obsessed with Sonic and that's about it. That's about all they do for her in the modern games too, so hey, I guess they actually have her down pretty well.
You know how long I've waited to wake up next to you and drink a hot beer out of your ass? Oh, I feel like a fairy tale princess.
So you did jam a beer bottle up my ass.
They have Shadow in an episode and, oh my god, disgraceful. I remember when this one came out, people hated the way they made Shadow look so much that they were asking them to redo the episode with a better Shadow sprite, which, come on guys, these guys were working with whatever Machinima gave them. They don't have time for that. Redesigning something on a Sonic project? Who would ever bother with such a meaningless task? You can't just finish a project with a character looking one way and then completely redo it. Are you out of your mind? To be fair, this sprite looks like shit. To be fair to the animators, however, Shadow doesn't have a classic sprite and having a Sonic Battle sprite next to the classic Sonic sprite might be a bit jarring, but they could have at least given him his white fur on the chest and black arms to better resemble the character. I don't know, you get the idea that the people who made this series might not actually care about Sonic at all. They were just aware that Shadow was a popular character, so they threw him in for an episode. Maybe they do like the series, or at least the old games, but this is clearly more about making a comedy than making a Sonic fan series. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, I like comedies, and part of the fun of this series might just be seeing these characters act the complete opposite way they're supposed to act. And they definitely have an understanding of a lot of the games they're poking fun of. I don't think that this is being done from a completely passionless place or anything. But hell, I think there might be more Mario characters in the show. There's Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Birdo, Toad, a Goomba, a Koopa, if you want to get generous, Wario and Yoshi, who are just Sonic and Earthworm Jim in different bodies, but their sprites are still on the show. Oh yeah, and Earthworm Jim is a main character, forgot to mention that. Your 4 main characters are Sonic, Tails, Eggman, and Earthworm Jim, depending on which season you're on. In 1 and 2 they're more so side characters, and 3 they're part of the main cast, and 4 I think dick-shaped Kirby shows up more than they do. But from 5 and on, those are the 4 main characters every season. I really liked the original run of the series back when I was growing up, and while I don't think the newest Rooster Teeth season was amazing, I was still curious enough to watch the whole thing, and I'm honestly very curious to watch the newest season once it's finally out. I guess at this point I'll encourage you to go watch the whole series before finishing this video, as I'm going to do a quick rundown of each season, and I can't do that without spoiling a few things. I won't be giving away every single plot, detail, or joke on the show, but if anything I've shown in this video has made you curious so far, check it out. The entire series is currently under 4 hours long, as each episode was really short, and the good people at Lowbrow were kind enough to upload each season as a whole, so you don't have to open 100 different videos. Sonic for Hire Season 1 is definitely the most skit-like of the entire series, with every episode just being trial and error with Sonic trying a new job and failing in some way. I mean, okay, there's a little more variety than that. In one of them, he thinks he found the perfect job, but then it just turns out that he was hallucinating from an acid trip. All in all, it's a bunch of old internet humor like, whoa, whoever made this game was clearly on drugs. Wouldn't it be funny if something innocent was not actually all that innocent? But honestly, with the voices and how short and to the point each episode is, I like it. Maybe it's just nostalgia or my love for web shows, but I think it still holds up okay. By season 2, Tails is pretty much a main character, but in season 1 he disappears after the first few episodes, with them even making a joke about his absence at the end.
And will Tails ever come out of his coma? Because, we didn't tell you, Tails got in a pretty serious car accident like a month ago. He's been in a coma, so We're pulling for him.
I think they just mainly wanted to focus on Sonic fucking things up in Season 1, with Tails occasionally being the guy who got him new jobs, with him getting more involved as the series goes on. As I mentioned before, Earthworm Jim and Eggman become main characters, but only make minor appearances in Season 1. Earthworm Jim hires Sonic to do a job and Sonic steals his suit. He comes back in a later episode to try to get it back with Eggman's help, which leads to these two becoming best friends as the series goes on. Kind of a weird pair-up, and I have no reference to what Earthworm Jim is actually like as a character, but it's fun, I like it. I like that they just kind of throw an outsider character into the series as a regular. Eggman actually has a handful of appearances in Season 1. He kind of becomes Sonic's buddy as the show goes on, which I find really funny. Like, they're still mean to each other, all of the characters in the show are mean to one another, but they hang out with him and he's happy to go along with whatever bullshit they're doing. In Season 1, they're more or less still enemies, although over more petty things, as Eggman is no longer into the whole world domination thing and spends most of the episodes just running around in his underwear. Which, yeah, is basically him in every episode. It's rare to see him with pants on in the show. Characters like Kirby, Mother Brain, and that guy from the Golden Axe games are also characters introduced this season. Consider them side characters, but side characters you could expect to see at least once a season. We also have a completely original character, Sonequa, who's the daughter of Sonic and that weird Metroid thing that the show calls Mother Brain, as previously stated. Do I have any gripes of Season 1? Not really. I mean, it's not a fucking masterpiece or anything, but for what it was, I'm not surprised there was an interest for more seasons. In terms of their animation department, it was probably one of the most popular series Machinima had. I guess from a technical standpoint, there's some audio issues. It's weird. In Season 1, Tails sounds perfectly fine, but sometimes it feels like there's an echo coming from Sonic's end.
Wait, why did I agree to this?
It's a big payday, man, so just hang in there. You're gonna be fine. Trust me.
Look, I'm not feeling good about this. Is it too late to back out?
Like maybe his voice actor wasn't recording at the same place. Like sometimes he sounds fine, but other times it changes in between lines.
I was just simply moving it further away from Nemo.
Seriously, just don't take my suit.
I wasn't gonna, dick.
Like, that's super fucking nitpicky, I know. I just find it kind of interesting, but if I was like gonna give this a number ranking, that wouldn't even be a single point off or anything. Even when it echoes, it doesn't sound bad or anything. I find it interesting. I don't know. Am I a fucking dick for mentioning it? I don't think so. I think it's interesting. Fuck you. Season 2 starts off more or less like Season 1, with each episode being Sonic trying to get a different job. But about maybe halfway through, Sonic does something that lands him in prison, and he's bailed out by Mario, who's a mob boss because Mario's Italian, get it? And the rest of Season 2 is about him doing jobs to pay his debt to Mario. It's a very obvious direction to take the series in my opinion, but honestly you do get some funny interactions between these two.
Shing. Whoa, since when do you carry a knife?
What am I supposed to do, jump on your head? It's a fucking knife, I'm gonna stab you with it.
It's more or less the same as Season 1 even in the second half, just with some scenes of Mario and Sonic interacting. Eventually Luigi dies on one of their missions, which wasn't even Sonic's fault, but I guess that's the motivation to have these two fight each other. And Sonic kills Mario and takes over the mob. I really like how this plays into Season 3, but I have to say, any major character death in the series is not permanent. Like, they do not give a fuck. If they want someone back, they find a way to bring that character back. Like, Mario plays a pretty large role again in Season 6. I kinda get it, the character was funny, but even for comedies, I just prefer it for things that happen to stay permanent. Like, it would be fun at the end of the show to look back and see just how badly these characters fucked this world up, but by the end of the show, anything they've done is basically undone. But I guess that's more of a critique of Season 7 than 2. Season 2 is fun to watch, and it does just enough to stand out from the first season. I guess other notable things to mention would be stuff like Sonic actually bonding with his daughter after attempting to murder her, granted. But it's kind of funny, she becomes part of the gang at some point. She has this irrational love for her father and goes around murdering anyone who poses a threat to him. Good family. Also, in the Angry Birds episode, why aren't they sprites? This is literally the only time they've made game characters he's interacting with non-sprites. My guess is they had these in a previous sketch and just decided to repurpose them, but it always struck me as odd with this being the only episode of the entire series that does this. The Angry Bird characters have sprites. Not a critique really, just a weird observation.
Season 3 is my second favorite season of the show. It has a pretty fun premise about it being Sonic and the boys running the mob. At first it's just them trying to find out what they're even supposed to do, like they spend several episodes just fucking around with zero idea of what they're even doing, but eventually they do start to find some success in running the mob. It's a pretty nice change of pace from the previous seasons. There are technically jobs that Sonic is performing and sometimes failing at, and sometimes weirdly succeeding at despite his attempts to sabotage himself. But the formula has definitely been broken down this season, as we not only only get more than 1 2-parters, but we also have a story arc that flows pretty well throughout the entire season. Like, don't get me wrong, they will solve one conflict after enough episodes only for another one to start afterwards, but we do have a bit of an arc here. At first they don't know what they're doing, and then they learn what they can do in their position, but they're really bad at it. But then they actually find some success and things are starting to look really good for them, but then things are going so well that there's an argument about who should actually be in charge of the mob, which leads us to the climax of the season, which is a fight between Sonic and Tails. A good climax to the season, but also a fitting climax for the first 3 seasons of the show. It really does feel like it's all been leading up to this moment, where the two finally cut ties with one another. This season's a lot of fun. A lot of the games that they chose to poke fun of seem like they've had it coming for a long time, but they also throw in some surprises, like a Family Feud episode. They even have a 2-part heist episode that takes place in a Sonic setting. How nice! Casino Night Zone. There isn't a single thing about the setting that resembles Casino Night Zone except for a couple slot machines in the background of one of the shots, but hey, it's a pretty good episode. The Noid's in it, guys! This season also introduces Link, who'd become another reoccurring character. His whole shtick is that he's gay, because saying Link is gay is a popular internet joke.
Fine. Just follow my amazing Tookus then. We'll be there in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
I don't know if this guy qualifies as a stereotype or not, but he doesn't bother me. His episode's pretty funny. Like I said before, the show is very lowbrow throughout a lot of it, but I think the fact that it owns that and never tries to act like something it's not helps it a lot. I half expected not to enjoy this series all that much on a rewatch, but I can honestly still see why I enjoyed it so much growing up. Definitely more funny for me back then than it is now, but I still get it. I also think the characters are pretty consistent, which helps a lot too. A lot of the other reference-heavy shows with a somewhat obnoxious sense of humor often just make the characters act in a way that benefits the joke they're going for. Like, the characters do get worse over time, like I said, but it's over time. I'd say there's a pretty large shift in Tails' personality coming in Season 4, for example, but it's one that comes from 3 seasons of being shit on. They're not gonna randomly have Eggman act like a nice guy in one episode and then a complete prick in the next. I guess the only other thing I want to point out about Season 3 is during the final fight between Sonic and Tails, they have the two fighting in different locations from the show's past, which is a nice touch to have all these callbacks. However, the show kind of becomes obsessed with doing this from this point on. Like, there are multiple montages of them just traveling back to previous episodes. They always include that fucking Paperboy episode too. It's like, oh, it's the first episode, we've got to reference the first episode. Like, settle down, I understand that these past episodes have happened. This brings us to Season 4, which honestly is probably my favorite season. I think it might be a lot of viewers' least favorite season because, well, Tails is a miserable piece of shit in this season.
Look at this fucking loser. What's up, you loser, asshole loser? Oh, this is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
Oh, that's great meeting, Tails.
What the fuck is a Freddie Prinze Jr.? You better fix this or I'm walking and you can kiss my 2 tails goodbye, asshole. Now go find some coffee and throw it in your fucking face.
Really, Tails, it was good seeing you.
Yeah, it's good being me. Eat shit, loser.
But I like how it's kind of back to the basics of Season 1, with it just being trial and error. After all of the crazy stuff from Season 3, it's kind of nice to go back to the past just a little bit. But the main difference being everything in Sonic's life now is much worse. None of his old crew members are around anymore, and he's completely on his own, with even Tails being out of his life now. Tails somehow managed to find success after their fight and is living a great life while constantly rubbing that life in Sonic's face. The first half of the season just feels like Season 1 if Sonic's situation was even shittier, as I said before. But the second half goes into more of a Hollywood setting, where Sonic is becoming a movie star and regaining his fame, which inevitably brings him to working on a project with Tails. I think what makes Tails so unbearable this season is he shits on Sonic as he's making a genuine attempt to be a better person in the premiere, resulting in him going back to his old ways pretty quickly. But also the fact that he's just shitty to everyone, not just Sonic. Like, we've had 3 seasons of build-up for him to be treating Sonic this way, but you just want to see him get hurt with how much of a prick he is this season. But to me, that's kind of fitting for the show. It's funny to see just how much their dynamic changes this season, and it's also rewarding to see some of the horrible shit that happens to Tails after this season as a repercussion. Like, the show loves to acknowledge just how fucking shitty Tails was this season later down the road.
Oh, the hell, man!
That's the last season, and there's plenty more where that came from.
Again, I love how the season opens with basically everyone who was part of his life being absent, and throughout the season we kind of see him reform those connections he's lost. He's literally stuck with Thunderhead for the first few episodes of the season. That's how desperate his situation is. But as time goes by, we get reintroduced to Sonequa, Eggman, Jim, and even Kirby.
Kerbone! You look like a penis.
I just thought it was an interesting way to do season 4, and just how cynical this one gets is pretty funny to me. Probably an unpopular opinion, but yeah, this one is my favorite of the series. Little side note, but there's this clip in the Pokemon episode where Sonic's face starts glitching out, like it seems like this was an animation error, but instead of reanimating it, they just made a joke out of it.
You know, technically, that dragon thing isn't even my thing.
I don't give a thing. Just do it.
Piece of thing. What's going on with your face?
I don't know. I think it's a seizure.
I should probably get that checked out.
Like, maybe that was actually a scripted joke, but it feels really random if this wasn't the result of some technical error. Regardless, it's a pretty funny moment. Now, even though I do like season 4, I do have one major problem with it, which is the ending. There's this really interesting setup to the finale, but the payoff makes absolutely no sense. There's a point in the season where Kirby wants to make a movie about Sonic's past, and Tails is a necessary part of telling that story, so the two are forced to work together again. Sonic makes it clear that he doesn't want to work with him, but eventually accepts it, even pitching that they make the movie about Tails instead. Now obviously to anyone watching this season there is a motive there, but we just don't know what it is yet. So the next few episodes play out with Tails now being the lead of this project and continuing to treat everyone like shit, and the anticipation of Sonic's revenge is growing. You really are ready to see this little bastard get fucked over at this point, and then this happens.
Listen to those screams of laughter, man. They're eating it up.
Those aren't screams of laughter. I rigged this place to explode to get back at you. Why do you think I let you be player 1? Sure, you get top billing, but it also means you can die.
Die, you motherfucker!
The plan was to blow up the theater during the premiere? Why the fuck did Tails have to get top billing for you to do this? Were you afraid he wouldn't attend the premiere if he wasn't the main character in the movie? He would have still been a pretty major part of it. These are two things that don't go together. You intentionally made production of the movie worse for yourself over a plan that would have had the same impact if you were the star. Like I said, it feels like there's a really funny setup to this finale, but once it comes to deliver, it's just not well thought out at all. The intention was clearly to give Tails more scenes of being an asshole because this season was really counting on people finding that funny. But honestly, I think what makes me like the season is the build-up and anticipation of Sonic getting his revenge. It feels like everything is going well, but it's literally the last minute of the season that makes the entire thing fall apart and not work. The theater blows up, but Sonic and Tails survive it, and now are in space, which leads into season 5, taking place in space. Forget everything we set up, I guess. I think season 4 going into season 5 is the weakest transition. The dynamic between Sonic and Tails basically goes back to the way it was before, with them just having Sonic abuse Tails throughout the season to make up for the previous one. I get the feeling that the creators caught on to how fans were responding to Tails' change in personality and just wanted to get things back on track as soon as possible.
But don't make me an asshole like you did in season 4. It killed my Q rating.
Yeah, I hated season 4. Tails was such a prick.
But it's unfortunate because I think with a good ending, season 4 would have worked. At least in my book. Yes, Tails is awful, but the show is already very mean-spirited, and I think taking it to the next level would have been okay if it went both ways. But instead, the plan that's revealed in the finale is, I mean, it's fucking nothing. I think they wrote themselves into a hole and didn't have enough time to properly write themselves out of it. But still, I do really like season 4. I know it's weird to call it my favorite when it's blatantly the one I'm bitching the most about, but it really does come down to the very ending of it. I even like the last episode. It's just the final scene. Season 4, I do think, takes the most risks story-wise, and it changes things up in a way that was very welcomed. I guess at this point it's worth mentioning their other series, Mega Man Dies at the End, a show created by the same team that actually crosses over with Sonic for Hire Season 4 twice. Near the start of Season 4, Sonic and Thunderhead are in prison, and in a Mega Man episode that came out that same week, we got this little clip.
My god! Mega Man is trying to rescue Wily! Look! That Viking is having sex with a blue hamster!
Nuh-uh! We're breaking out!
Yeah, we're breaking out first, then we're gonna have sex.
Wait, what?
That's pretty clever. Anyways, how is Mega Man Dies at the End? I like it. Like Sonic for Hire, it feels like you don't really need to be aware of the game to enjoy it because I'm not really that familiar with the Mega Man games and I enjoyed it. Hell, a lot of Mega Man Dies at the End is just them doing whatever movie spoof they felt like doing that week.
If anyone tries to escape, you all die.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you, Popo.
All right, everyone, stay cool. This is a big feckin' robbery.
What if we don't get caught?
What are you talking about?
Let's just keep going.
You sure?
Yeah.
but it does have a more serialized storyline than Sonic for Hire. Sonic for Hire clearly has a story and continuity, but it's not afraid to do several episodes in a row that don't connect with one another. While Mega Man, I really don't think you could watch the episodes in random order. They all need to be seen one after the other. Season 1 was pretty funny and I enjoyed it. Season 2 starts off kind of strong, but then it just sort of stopped coming out. Like a few episodes in and they just stopped making it. After a while, they released 3 final episodes to wrap up loose ends, but the show never really got to have a full second season. I don't know if this was the creators losing interest in this one, or if it wasn't bringing in the same views as Sonic for Hire. I mean, there are certainly jokes in the show that suggest one show was much more popular than the other.
Either way, I think we can all agree here, Sonic is great. Mega Man, if it's your thing.
Yeah, nailed it.
Really?
Exactly.
Wait. Come on, guys. I've had my moments.
I, for the most part, enjoyed what they made of Season 2, although it kind of dissolves near the end. Like, a good chunk of those final 3 episodes just feel like a bunch of fucking around, and then the ending is just another Sonic for Hire crossover where Sonic is the one who kills Mega Man. Not a spoiler, it's in the title. I don't know. It's a very self-aware ending, but it's not really a good way to end your narrative-driven series. But it's also not a series where you would ever take the plot all that seriously, so it's not a big loss. Still, I think they should have tried to focus on their own characters and give it an actual conclusion, rather than just reference that the show wasn't as big of a hit as their other show. Moving on to Season 5, it's fine. It's Sonic for Hire, but the jobs are in space now, so they go to a lot of space-themed video games. Eggman and Jim come back as regulars, and it's pretty much just watching these guys fuck around for another 13 episodes. Slippy and Peppy are characters throughout the season as Sonic and Tails take over for Fox and Falco, doing missions, and we do get to see Fox and Falco by the end of the season. That's about all we get story-wise. Way more episodic season than the last 3. But people seem to like it. Season 6 is where we get back into having more of a narrative, but that narrative is Sonic uses a time machine to try to prevent his life from ending up the way it is.
Seems like there's going to be a lot of holes in this season's storyline.
Just go with it.
Yeah, so while the season does have a narrative, that narrative is constantly changing, because all that really happens is they change the timeline, something bad happens, that bad thing happens for a few episodes, then they change the past again, and now something different is happening. It just goes on like this until they fuck up the timeline so badly that the entire world is falling apart. So this season kind of allows them to do whatever they want. As I mentioned in the Season 2 section, Mario gets to come back and be a villain again for a while, because they create a timeline where he never died. This makes Season 6 kind of feel like a lot is happening and nothing is happening at the same time. Yeah, we do get to see a lot of weird shit in Season 6 because there is nothing making it a more grounded season, and while that can open doors to new possibilities, it also restricts them from exploring any of these ideas. Mario being an antagonist again is just something that happens for a while before changing. Eggman ruling the world is just something that happens a little while before changing. While the narrative has never really been the show's strong point, nor was it ever really trying to be, Seasons 3 and 4 definitely had a beginning, middle, and ending. While Season 6 is a bunch of nonsense leading into a finale where the entire world falls apart and they have to hit the reset button. Season 6 was literally such a mess that they had to undo everything that's happened to the show's world to fix it. So in terms of continuing the stories of these characters, I do think that Season 5 and 6 are kind of weak. Everything from 1 to 4 felt like a very natural way to go, while 5 and 6 kind of feel like they exist to prolong the series' existence. But is Season 6 at least funny? Yeah, it's alright. I like some of the scenarios the characters are put in. They've been doing the show this long, I guess doing something completely bonkers with these characters is more fun than just going back to doing the same old shit. Knuckles takes on a way larger role this season, which is kind of neat. Not like he's a main character or anything, but he's in a handful of episodes, including the finale, which, yeah, I like getting more Sonic-related content in this Sonic-related show. It definitely feels very weird to critique its story when the show seems to care so little about that, but I just think I liked where the first seasons were going more. After they reset the world in the finale, we just see our main characters as individual pixels before Sonic comes on the screen and announces Season 7 will be the final season of the show. I've already mentioned the Rooster Teeth season and the upcoming Season 9, so we all know that isn't true, but Season 7 was intended as the conclusion for a while. How is it? I don't like it nearly as much as the previous seasons. What makes Season 7 stand out from the previous installments is that the entire thing kind of runs as if it's one really long episode. Previous story-driven seasons normally had a lot of standalone episodes that were only loosely connected to the plot, and you could still click on any episode and get something from it. I think with Season 7, watching them in order is a lot more necessary. The episodes do still stand out on their own by the fact that each episode puts them in a different game or location, but still, there is an objective set up at the start of the season that is focused on throughout the entirety of Season 7. The season opens where 6 left off with them being pixels and they start to rebuild the world. By episode 2, they are done and try to go back to their normal lives, only to realize how much they prefer their new lives.
Just as they get back to their normal shtick of fucking with different video games, they realize that someone is fucking with them by causing a lot of glitches that take place in the games they enter, and even in their own home. They embark on a quest to find out who's doing this, and the rest of the season involves them solving different riddles that gets them closer and closer to the truth, resulting in a pretty phoned in ending, to be honest. So I think my biggest problem with Season 7 is the comedy. Notice how much longer Season 7 is than the previous seasons. It still has the standard 13 episodes, but a lot of them are much longer now. This isn't too out of the ordinary for a final season. A lot of shows want to make their last season a little bit longer, but again, the show doesn't go for more episodes, it goes for longer episodes. And I think a longer runtime makes some of the show's flaws stand out more. These aren't great characters to listen to for an extended period of time. They work in small bursts, getting to the point as quick as possible and moving on to the next bit. With these episodes being longer, we get a lot of conversations that just kind of go on for no reason.
Plus, we just called over some zombie prostitutes. I hear they give the best zombie J's, if you know what I mean.
Sweet! You can take the one that looks like zombie Kristen Stewart, and I'll take the one that looks like regular Kristen Stewart.
Alright. So I'll take the one on the, which one are you talking about?
I meant this one at first, but now I'm not so sure. They're so similar.
I know this is super important to you fucking idiots, but can you just tell us the clue?
Thunderhead, do you remember the clue that I had for these guys? Oh, this one! This one's the zombie Kristen... No.
No. It's this one. You see the dead, lifeless eyeballs? That's definitely regular Kristen Stewart.
Just give us the fucking clue!
Clue, right.
Long and unnecessary conversations can be funny. I think shows like Bob's Burgers and Home Movies do it exceptionally well, but then shows like Disenchantment or, well, Sonic for Hire feel a lot more phoned in and unfunny. It feels like often the joke is just, isn't it funny that they are fixated on something that has nothing to do with what they're supposed to be focusing on right now? Again, this bit can be done well, I've seen it done well, but you gotta have some really funny writers or improv performers to pull it off. It's not Disenchantment's strong point, which Disenchantment does have, I like that show, and it's certainly not Sonic for Hire's strong point. I'm not against them doing a more story-driven season, but in Season 4 I felt like the dialogue was always being used to move the story forward, and whenever a joke was being thrown in, it was a quick distraction, not a detour. But I think it is the most consistently unfunny season, up to this point at least. And honestly, I don't think the story is all that great either. They just sort of travel to different games and try to solve riddles. The ending is also kinda lame in my opinion. They never get the answers they're searching for and Sonic becomes God. This is obviously being played as a joke like, we went on that entire journey for no reason, and here's an ending that has nothing to do with anything. But I don't know. The previous seasons were able to have endings that were funny and a proper conclusion to the arc. At least Season 4's ending was relevant to the season. I guess I wouldn't mind this if I thought the comedy this season was really good, but like I said, I think it's a much weaker season comedy-wise. What are some good things about it, though? Well, it does give every side character their own conclusion throughout the season, which I like. A final hurrah for everyone. There's an episode where they interact with their creators, which I thought was a fun idea. It's cool seeing the sprites being placed into a real setting.
But that's it? Come on, man, you can't just tell us where to go? Huh? Voice brother?
Nope. See you guys in reruns.
Web shows didn't have reruns, you just watch them whenever you feel like it. But yeah, pretty disappointing conclusion to the series. I feel like they were trying to go for something big for their finale, but their lack of payoffs just made it feel like they were doing much less than previous seasons. Longer or not. What I would have done differently was focus on them rebuilding the world. They are 8-bit by the end of episode 1, so maybe just make the sprites slowly improve as the season goes on. That could have been funny. Then they'd have to deal with rebuilding different characters, including the ones that they've pissed off throughout the show's run. If you're gonna reset the world anyways, might as well do something with it. Maybe this could have led to Sonic regaining his good reputation as savior of the world, assuming that no one is aware that he caused it to end in the first place. And then the show ends on a note that Sonic could potentially live a good life now, with a large implication that he's probably going to find a way to fuck it up again, just being in character of the series. But that isn't the story they wanted to tell, so you've got to take Season 7 for what it is. And for what it is, if I'm going to rewatch the show anyways, I might as well finish it off with Season 7. It's not like it's unwatchable or anything. Although, I guess it's not the final season anymore. At this point, I think we should take another small detour to talk about Morty Kombat. Morty Kombat was their attempt at a Mortal Kombat series, and it's not that great, but it has some strong points. Like, I really love that in order to make the show, they took a lot of real photos that they turned into sprites for the main character Morty. Hell, with this show in terms of character animation, it does seem like they had to do a lot more complicated rigs for the characters with them being way more detailed sprites. It even has some really nice animations in the backgrounds.
I think my main issue just comes from a writing standpoint. Most of the scenes are just characters standing in place and talking, with the occasional fight, because I guess what else are you gonna do with a Mortal Kombat spoof? I just don't find any of the characters especially interesting or funny, and from a production standpoint, it feels especially repetitive, with them frequently having the same expressions and positions during these really long dialogue sequences. It was really hard for me to get any sort of investment or amusement out of this one. I guess it is worth giving it credit for being the only one of their shows to solely focus on the game they're doing a satire of. No breaking into other game worlds, that had to have been a risk on their end. The reason I'm even talking about this in the first place is because in Season 8 of Sonic for Hire, Morty actually joins the cast, which is fitting because they intended on making a Season 2 of Morty Kombat, but just never got the chance to.
At least our show didn't get canceled. The whole channel went under. There's a difference!
Season 8 is the long-awaited return of Sonic for Hire. Season 7 ended in 2013, and Season 8 began in 2019. Actually, let's take another short detour. Rooster Teeth, you motherfuckers! As I mentioned before, this season was picked up by Rooster Teeth as a show for their own website, a show that they did not promote in the slightest, and I only learned about because all these years later I was still following the Sonic for Hire Facebook page, and they finally made another post of a picture of the Season 8 Episode 1 script. So Rooster Teeth Crime Number 1, zero promotion for the show. I swear this shit didn't even appear on the homepage as the episodes were coming out. I had to type in the title of the show in the search bar if I wanted to see it. How the fuck was anyone going to watch this show if you didn't even announce you were hosting it? Oh, speaking of the title, Rooster Teeth Crime Number 2, they made them change the fucking title to Hedgehog for Hire. Granted, I like Sonic's reaction to this in the intro, but why? Machinima and Lowbrow Studios were able to use Sonic's name in the title just fine. They still say Sonic's name in every episode, and he's in the goddamn logo for the show still. Do you think maybe if you're going to get rid of the name, you might want to get rid of him too? Based on that logic, wouldn't using a copyrighted character as part of your logo be a problem? It's not like it affects the quality of the show, but why? It just makes the show all the more difficult to find on their website, because searching for Sonic for Hire, the well-known name of the series, doesn't make the show pop up. What if someone didn't know about the title change? Oh yeah, and they canceled the shit after one season. It never stood a chance. But it actually gets worse than that. Rooster Teeth Crime Number 3, they failed to release the episodes on time and accidentally leaked half of the season. Episode 1 came out on schedule. A week later, Episode 2 did not come out. I was on top of this shit, by the way. When I heard they were coming back, I was so curious to see how these new episodes were going to pan out. So yeah, I was there, no Episode 2, and I was kinda getting annoyed. I got the stupid fucking Rooster Teeth membership just to see the new episodes early, and they weren't even fucking delivering them. And it was confirmed that they were supposed to come out once a week, and this wasn't a delay on the creator's end. I remember on Twitter them mentioning the episodes were done and releasing them was on Rooster Teeth. So another week passes and we finally get Episode 2 and 3, which is nice. I'm glad they gave us that episode to make up for the previous. Oh, they gave us Episodes 4 and 5 as well. Okay, well maybe that was just a way of saying sorry for they just took them down. It's just 1 through 3 again, but the people actually watching the show just saw the 2 episodes you put up by accident. And then we wait another 2 weeks to see those episodes get put back up. These are fucking short videos. Why not just release the entire season at this point? So finally they got their shit together and released the rest of the episodes as planned. All 3 of them. They literally fucked up the release of half of the season. Great going, Rooster Teeth. I really love your service and would recommend it to other people. I hope one day I get a show on your website that you don't promote, don't release, and cancel after a single season. Anyways, how is Season 8? It's okay. Like Season 7, it's very narrative driven and the entire season almost plays out as one really long episode. But I think the script is a lot more solid this time around. It opens with Sonic and Tails still in heaven doing their job as the creators, and honestly this opening shot is a pretty funny one. Even with the most important job in the universe, they're still fucking slobs. The premise for Season 8 is Sonic gets famous again. Yeah, Mania came out around this time and Sonic was doing pretty well again, going against everything the original show had said. However, within the show's universe, Sonic was on Earth, meaning they had to use a lookalike. So the Sonic for Hire versions of these characters go back to Earth and fuck everything up immediately, which is very fitting for a show like this. From here, Sonic and Tails reunite with Eggman and Jim to make their own game, hiring Morty as their programmer. We get a couple episodes of them trying to figure out how they're going to make their game, and then during the second half of the season, Eggman meets Eggette, which is a somewhat obscure reference to Mania, where in one of the Robotnik boss battles he is hanging upside down, making him look like a different character, which fans have named Eggette, the daughter of Robotnik. Sonic for Hire decided to roll with this character, and Eggette reunites with her father, disappointed in what he's become, and turns him back over to the dark side. Honestly, the amount of Sonic shit in this season actually kinda surprised me. Hell, Knuckles even plays a pretty big role this season. Normally these characters just felt like they were being used because the games weren't popular anymore, but this season feels like it understands the characters a little bit more, at least the background of the characters. They still don't act like themselves at all, but how could you expect them to this late into the show? And even though the first half and second half of the season are very different, they both stem from Sonic Mania, so I actually do think it's a pretty cohesive story. The only problem is, despite it being a shorter season episode-wise, length-wise it's about the same. So a lot of these episodes have moments like these.
You should be ruling over this world, not eating sandwiches out of a dumpster.
Wow. Wait a minute. Do you consider hamburgers to be a sandwich? I mean, technically I guess they are, but would you call it a hamburger sandwich? That just sounds pretty cool, actually. This changes everything.
Oh, God! Slippy needs her respirator. She can only survive in an oxygen atmosphere.
This is air.
Good point. Slippy, are you breathing?
Yup. Am I dead?
Nope, you're talking.
Great.
Avocado.
Yeah? Wow, I don't know anything you're saying. Yeah, none of this makes any sense. I don't know how to get you to stop. Wow. Are you gonna stop? Is this just my life now? Okay, I'm gonna assume you're done now.
It's just filler. It's just dragging a scene or joke on way longer than necessary, and for no reason. A lot of these jokes just feel like something you would see in a first draft when you're not really sure what you want the episode to be, but you kind of need to write the bad version so you at least have something to work with. It's a season with a lot going for it, but I think it has some of the worst comedy in the show to date. But it also has some pretty decent laughs too. I honestly really love what they do with Jim this season. He accidentally gets Morty killed and then disguises himself as Morty throughout the rest of the season, which just the visual alone is pretty funny. But he has some pretty great moments too.
Are you done with that secret code yet, or what?
Just a few more lines of code. Carry the 2, adjust for wind speed, and click yes!
What the fuck is this?
It's a dancing baby. That's pretty neat, huh?
Where the hell is my secret code to make me invincible?
Yeah, working on that. I wanted to warm up first, so I made this with a tutorial.
I also really like the premise of Eggman being a villain again. It's something the show hasn't done before, but it feels like such an obvious way to take it. And I do like that by the end he can't go through with it. He changed way too much over the years and is way too far gone to betray his group. I feel like this season utilized Eggman and Jim really well. They're absolutely highlights of the season. I didn't get a ton out of Eggette as a character, but it was a creative idea to include her. It is kind of funny that there is now a series representation of a fan character because of this web series. Granted, nothing official, but still a Sonic show. I think the show got pretty bad at wrapping up their stories, though. Like seasons 2 and 3 did a fine job, but then 4 kind of fell apart at the very end, 7 doesn't have a great payoff, and 8 feels like it's going for something grand by bringing all these characters back from the show's past to duke it out with Eggman and Eggette, but it just kind of falls flat in my opinion. It's mainly executed through some pretty lame jokes and nothing at all that cinematic. Like, I know it's a comedy, it can stay a comedy, but look at what season 3 did versus what season 8 did.
Whoa, what do you think you're doing? Don't even think about blowing up all that money.
Look, if I'm not the boss, then nobody's the boss. All I do is help you out of trouble, and you just keep shitting on me.
But you're so annoying. Look, we can work something out. I'll be a mob boss Monday through Saturday, and you can take Sundays, when the mob is closed.
Hey, Sonic, you ever call a coin toss? Let me give you a word of advice. Always bet on tails.
No!
Game over, Sonic. I see you're back for some more. I've already kicked your ass once, so I guess...
That is one of the worst screams I've ever heard. Like, one of them clearly feels a lot more satisfying and dramatic than the other one, right? It can still be funny, it can still be corny, but make it feel grand like a finale should. Also, there's a weird animation error or two this season that I forgot to mention, like the shot where Sonic's head is too small. But anyways, the season ends with them deciding they're all going to go to college next season, which is actually something they hinted back at in season 7.
No, we're not going to college. At least not this season. Maybe in the movie. Kickstarter.
So this is an idea they had for a while, and as I said before, despite the show's cancellation on Rooster Teeth, Season 9 will be happening on Lowbrow Studios' YouTube page, and I do plan on checking it out. Maybe I can do a quick video quickie on it once it's out, giving my updated thoughts on the progress of the show. But yeah, for now, that's Sonic for Hire, and I like it. It's very lowbrow and disgusting and mean-spirited, but that's what I like about it. It's very chaotic, and while I don't always find it hilarious, I certainly always find it interesting enough to keep checking out. The characters are still very alive on the channel through a series of sketches and their own version of Sonic Says, but the main series is definitely the thing keeping me hooked. If I could offer any constructive criticism to the creators, I would say that the show works better on a smaller runtime. 13 2 to 3 minute long episodes works better than 8 4 to 5 minute long episodes. But with them being able to make a new season at their own pace, perhaps longer runtimes could work better. Who can say for sure until the new season comes out? I have no idea what their schedule was like at Rooster Teeth or Machinima, but I'm sure they had their deadlines. Still, the creators of the show are both funny people who've been making stuff online for a very long time, and I would encourage you to check out some of their projects and see if any of it appeals to you. This has been Spiny Norman saying, like Sonic for Hire, I don't know how to end my videos.